Hello, everyone. I'm Jason, the Wizard of Ops, and with me, as always, is Jay, aka Dark Matter. Jay, how you doing? Did you watch Super Bowl?
Doing pretty good. Did watch the Super Bowl. It was, I'm an offensive kind of guy, right? And I had no desire for either team. So for me, it was rather sluggish. But if you were into defense and field goals, wow, your dreams came true then.
I have to admit, I was very pro. I like a good defensive matchup. I don't like it. It almost seems like too easy when the defenses aren't that good. Um, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. We also, my 5-year-old daughter, we showed her the logos of who was playing on the Super Bowl and asked her, like, who do you think is playing? What do you think the teams are? And she said, oh, it's the fake Eagles versus the American humans. We're like, so that's all we called it. We're like, oh, I'm rooting for the fake Eagles today. But I mean, there is
That's
no such thing
awesome.
as a Seahawk either. So I mean,
True. I mean, your kid is technically 100% right.
yeah, nailed it.
I mean, math logic, you can't argue that one. All right. Just great. I love it. I love that. The things
All
that
right.
kids say, right?
Yeah. Oh, she went through. We ended up after that. We ended up showing her all the logos, and it was funny that she got most of them obviously wrong, but there were a couple she got right, like the Jets. She got the Giants because that's our household, but she's like the twinkle stars for the Steelers. You know, am I in grayscale? No, I'm not in grayscale. The issue is that the lighting is my window. The sun is shining directly into the window, so what you're seeing is my shades. Here, I could put in some. Anyway, go ahead. You start that. I'll mess with my lighting.
All right, beautiful. Let's kick into this week. So first, let's discuss our event catalyst. So once again, relatively quiet week, I would say here was we do have some retail sales next I should say tomorrow, not next week, and then we do have our non-farm jobs data as well, and then the big one on Friday is going. Well, I should say Thursday and into Friday, we've got unemployment claims, but then we have core CPI and just CPI in general, month over month and year over year. I think that will be a market mover potentially, but I will let you discuss how just event vol looks like this week. But before I kick us into that, excuse me, earnings will continue this week as well. There's not a lot of, obviously majority of the Max 7 are done. NVIDIA is still to come, right? But just a few of those to call out. Always just curious how the health of the economy is doing. Obviously, Coca-Cola is one of those that you'll want to pay attention to. But then you got your consumer discretionary kind of things like Spotify, right? And how's Robinhood doing and things of that nature. So there's not going to be a lot of big market movers, I would say here. But it is just in general, what I would look at is how is the health of the economy doing? And that's where you're going to get a lot of these consumer staples, Marriott, McDonald's also reporting this week here. And then we've got Coinbase. Any thoughts, Wiz, on your end?
The Coinbase commercial yesterday was terrible.
It was, you know what? It was like my AI had another AI had another AI
Yeah,
create that marketing commercial. That's what it was.
I watched that, and I'm just sitting there, almost thinking like, what is this? What is this? What is this? And then it was like Coinbase. I'm like halfway through the commercial. My next thought was, whatever this is, I'm not going to use it. Like,
Yeah.
and Coinbase, and I'm like, all right, no sweat off my back. I never use them anyway. So,
Well, I hope you then, if you're going to be a crypto.com user, did you see their commercial for AI.com,
yeah,
right? I hope you got your handle before someone claims the Wiz of Ops, all right?
we do. Um, but yeah. So I mean, overall, it's kind of these earnings are more interesting in the economic standpoint or through an idiosyncratic standpoint. I don't think they'll be necessarily market moving, but there are some that are interesting. Yeah, so
Great. Yeah, any thoughts on the CPI or
yeah, I
anything
was
event
actually looking it
catalyst?
up. I was looking it up to see what it's very interesting. We're going to talk about this a little bit later on. CPI is tomorrow, and there's actually a little bit more. There's a little bit more implied volatility, but overall, it seems that the way that dealers are handling this, just this environment, is they're being a little bit, I don't want to say low, but implied volatility is centered around like the 16 to 20 area, but the skew is so high. And as the market moves in like smaller movements, implied volatility doesn't move until you start hitting those wings. We threaten like over VIX conditions. We threaten that in just like 1% moves, 1.3% moves. Usually it takes like 3% moves to do something like that. And then on the flip side, on Friday, we blasted off, right? And we blasted off to the upside, and we undervixed like considerably. So I think that dealers are only really moving implied volatility heavily in the wings.
That makes sense. I mean, that gives us our aggressive, ranges that we're seeing. And, speaking of ranges for this week, the market makers are expecting about 120 points. We did hit the lower range of last week and bounced off, not exactly, but bounced off of it. And so this week, the market makers are expecting that upper range, 70.52, and that lower range, 68.12. So clearly, they're expecting volatility, at least from a range perspective, right? And so that is quite interesting, especially, I thought CPI could be a mover this week, but I didn't think 120 points kind of mover. So is this just like, hey, we expect more chaos out of the Trump administration, out of our government? Who knows what can come of it? So obviously what you and I cannot predict here is what's not in front of us, right? So
well, we moved 120 points on Friday.
Yeah, that's true.
So to expect that in a week is probably not that out of bounds considering our recent history. That's probably where that came from, is our realized volatility over the past 3-4 days.
Yeah. And we basically made 3/4 of that move overnight too. You understand why I'm trading at night, huh? All right, let's jump into our just some of our Volland data. So let me just kind of go through a few of the key levels that stuck out to me. So obviously in the market here, we overnight hit into the gamma wall. I'll call it concentration around 69.50 there. We did pop a little bit over it, I think up to 69.60, and then that was short lived, and then we had a failed breakout of 69.50. I thought then, 69.25 was a little bit of where dealers might be interested in where, price would go. And then a break of 69.25 would bring us to 6,900. And so that's exactly the three levels we traded here overnight. It is a relatively large, and I'll go into Volland here for everyone as well. So kind of what we're looking at, at least from a gamma, there's your 50, there's your 25, and then there's 6,900 level there as well. And then if we take a look at it from a Vanna and a volatility perspective as well, I mean, for the week, you do have some support here. Obviously, 6,900 breaks here, we get an increase in volatility. You are going to, start to see price drift towards 68.75 there as well. So I think my bias just right now, Wiz, is it's a little bit of mean reversion ping pong style here. I think, first will be 68.75, but I want to see how the 6,900 level holds, and it might just be a magnet throughout the week. So your thoughts?
I mean, if you look at OPEX, I think the biggest level to consider is 7,000. And that was kind of left a little bit out of your thing. I mean, we're only 2 weeks away from OPEX. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
We're only 2 weeks away from OPEX, so that's going to have a profound effect. I don't see, so because of that, I don't see 70.25 being hit. I do think that all that, you could look underneath price right there is nothing. And we had a little bit of something from this week that came on the scene on Thursday. And I was expecting it to take, like a week to get back up to 69.25, and that didn't happen. It took a day, but that 7,000 is going to push us down. Considering like how fast the market has moved in reaction to this in recent days, I wouldn't be surprised if we start tailing off this week, but I think next week at least we should expect tailing down. 68.75 is a possibility. I could see as, we'd have to see how market reacts to the support Vanna that you showed before. And all that little green area below price. I think that's what we have to see how the market reacts to that. And
yeah. I think what's really interesting here, Wiz, is so this is 2 weeks, right? So all of this week and next week, Savannah. And then when you start to just compare this, kind of put these side by side here. I mean, to your point, just look at there's just no support down as we go down here, right? So definitely, this week, these are some critical levels. If you don't hold and maintain, right? Like sure this week, but yeah, I'm with you. Next week, it's tough for me to say let's hold, calls, swinging into next week when you have a view like this hitting into OPEX basically. So I'm 100% with you there.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the upside is going to be more solid than the downside. I think, it almost be like I described the past couple weeks as like a basketball going down the stairs. This might be like the high bounce ball that you hit in the ground and then it hits the ceiling a couple times as it bounces. I think that's kind of what it's going to be. It's like a range between a floor and a ceiling, but it's going to be rapid.
Yeah, agreed. I'm 1,000% with you. And so let's just kind of talk about how we're going to be trading this week. So I think for me, I'm still very much in a level to levels game. I think that's been so far the beginning of just January. It's just better to play those kind of trades, especially as an intraday trader, right? And I think Thursday to Friday was a prime example of that, right? You could have entered puts before the market closed. You're technically right. We dipped down to 67.30, right? But that triggered a bunch of dealer buying, and coming out of that, we went right up to, as you know, the story of Friday, we hit about 69.50 at the end of the day. So about a 220 point, swing that while you had the right, view of the world, it just, your timing was going to be incorrect, right? And I think if you're not trading futures, keep that in mind. These moves are happening just massively in a day or two here, right? We talk about these swings. I mean, even the sell-off last week was quite impressive. You had a day or two there of just constant selling from the top of the range, right? And so I still expect that. And I think you have to treat your risk management, keep it tight, especially as an intraday trader like myself. And then for me, level to level. So going into, the session today, for example, my levels, for example, I'm looking at 6,900. We lose that. You kind of saw, where we could basically go down to here. A couple of these key levels, 69.75, going even to 68.50. And then, this is clearly sticking out. So
that's the one to me I see as a downside range area.
Yeah. So I'm dead on with you. I'm glad you chimed in. So I think this guy's going to get tested at some point this week as well. And then do we see a bounce coming out of that?
Yeah. I agree. I'm positioned for that. I had to reposition on Friday. On Thursday, I was busy repositioning for, bullishness for this week. And then it all happened Friday. I'm like, I have to reposition again. It is kind of annoying. Can we just pick away? Let's go.
This reminds me of.
I gotta do,
Well, I think this is always hard because then, like, when the move does come and we break out of this range, whichever way it is, like, it's going to be explosive, right? Like, we've literally sat here for months now in this like 300-point range, just not doing anything, right?
Right.
So, I'm definitely with you there. So, I mean, again, that's going in. I think throughout the week, those are going to be some of your key levels there. Going even into today, for example, we'll see how this 6,900 retest here looks like on the ES, which we're almost trading. So we're about, I would say we're at 69.19 SPX right now. So we did reject 69. Yeah, it dropped again a little bit more. So
Dropped since the beginning of the show.
It did.
But I
So
mean,
that's what I'm looking for.
when you have, the high skew as the way that dealers are controlling the market. So
Yeah,
this is what happens.
I agree with you.
Mhm.
So that's my views on this week, Wiz. We talked about the event catalysts. Any other thoughts on your end?
No, I mean, I kind of explained, I think, what my view is. I do notice that dealers are keeping implied volatility high. I mean, if you think about it, remember when we were reaching all-time highs prior to 2020, like if you're looking at like 2017, 2018, and we're sitting there cruising at all-time highs, VIX was at like 8, right? VIX was at like 8 or 9. And now we're sitting here in 16 to 20. There was a regime change in 2020, but it wasn't that that they're still pricing in fairly expensive options. And when you see, if you go into OPEX, when you see that huge 7,000 strike, somebody is buying calls, right? Like they're buying calls in bulk, knowing that this at the money action is a little bit lower vol than it should be. But I mean, I don't know when those 7,000s were bought offhand. I mean, I could find it out, but I don't know when they were bought offhand. But I don't know if they were in the wings at that time. Like, was that in the wing? So did they overpay for those? And generally, I say yes, but they overpaid for them. But it's just it's an interesting time to be studying SPX. It's not your grandpa's SPX anymore, even on a 0 DTE time frame where it was like perfectly aligned and you knew all the players. They were all buying puts and selling calls, or vice versa. They were maybe malleable to price action, but it was relatively the same. No, it's all messy. It's all spreads. It's crazy nowadays. So you definitely have to have a good view, especially if you're going intraday. You have to have a solid view of how the market will evolve with all these different, red and green. The paradigms, as we say, are a little bit more messy than they used to be. So
I agree with that.
All right. So we do have some comments today. Let's go in. What is the ops in the name, as in Wizard of Ops? Come on, Jay, what is the ops? What are the ops?
You should explain it. This is a good background, like obviously options, but please, yes, go.
It is the wizard. I'm saying I'm the Wizard of Options, but it's also a phonetic play on words to the Wizard of Oz. So that's kind of where that came from. I did make it up one day on X, and then once I started getting a following, I got it trademarked. But there is somebody else out there who is a Wizard of Ops, but they're the Wizard of Operations, and they're talking about logistics. So make sure if you go to the Wizard of Ops, make sure
is he or she like a consultant, or I'm now very curious.
I think so. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, so we agreed we're fine. We're not in the same circle. So yeah, that's what ops are. It's options. So all right, Ramiro would like to know what is going to happen on Walmart. Earnings are next Thursday and had a 10% move last week. All right. Bring up Walmart. So
all right, give me
Walmart is next week, which I mean, generally that means that all positioning is in, especially it's monthly Friday. So I think that's it's a good time to see Walmart earnings and at least check it out.
One second here.
Is it next week? Whenever Walmart?
Let me see here.
February.
Yeah. Yep.
So right before OPEX. Oof.
Walmart.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
He said it was a 10% move last week. Is it up or down?
Let me look at its chart. 1 minute. So bringing it up here, WMT. Yeah, I mean, so it was a move up. Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, wow. Look at this.
What are they doing? Selling discount AI now? Like, what happened?
I mean, I'd have to dig into the news, but
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty impressive for a Walmart ticker, right?
That doesn't move like that ever.
No,
that is a crazy move. All right, let's see what Volland is saying.
Well, here's its gamma. You wanna?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's look at. Yeah. Well, its gamma is negative, which means that people are buying calls and puts.
Yeah.
Like everybody's expecting it. Oh, look at that. You see, so Walmart this is different than when we were doing the software stocks. I noticed there were like no puts bought, and there were a lot of calls bought. And what happened? All the software stocks sold off because there was no support. Walmart is looking pretty solid in the support department. It had a 10% move last week. There's not really many calls there. I would probably say it could test something below, but overall, I think we might have readjusted Walmart price to this level. Might see a little flag or whatever, with a chance of continuing up 10%. I guess this 10% move in a week in Walmart puts it on the radar of the retail meme stock chasers, right? Like, silver goes up a bunch, and then everybody's like, load into silver, and you're like, silver's been here forever. Where were you back then?
And then the drop was pretty impressive.
And it's down like what 30% now. And even though gold is back up to its all-time highs, it was more measured, but it's kind of.
No, I mean, what's quite interesting here, obviously, an area of support. Just kind of looking at this here. So even down to 125 is unless some volatility increases, hey, Walmart's about to close a bunch of stores, right? I think you're going to.
That would be a positive.
Yeah, well,
they're like saving costs. Yay.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but I mean, you're pretty supportive here, and I think if earnings go as what I think it will for Walmart, right? Like, there's a good chance you get up to this 140 here on Walmart.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why Walmart. I mean, I guess you could say defensive stocks, right? Like, people are worried about the economy, but one thing I will say is, despite the rise, I don't think it will retrace anytime soon.
No. I mean, here's its February OPEX, right? So
yeah.
All
right, next question. Julian comes in and is talking about our messy paradigms. Apollo 0 DTE alerts always begin with like, today we have messy whatever, because the other thing too is anybody systematic comes in late nowadays. They don't come in before like 10:30, 11 o'clock. People are waiting them out. So it's kind of crazy there in that sense. But today is B of A pure. I guess that's B of A. So I guess people are buying calls and buying puts.
That's
too. But you got to check out our 0 DTE delta decay.
Let's take a look at that.
Thing to look at.
There you go.
There you go. Now that's pretty clean, man. That's pretty clean. So we're going to have like negative gamma. They're not going to hedge it like negative gamma. So it'll be hitting the extremes, probably pinballing back and forth. Just by lines in the sand, it looks like.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, even though we were sitting there today saying, "Oh, it's always messy." Maybe not so messy today. All right, next one. Stocks like coin and MSTR are so highly correlated with BTC. Does Volland still work to predict stock movement? That's an excellent question. It's not even just like coin and MSTR with Bitcoin. It's even GLD and SLV with gold and silver. They have an impact. And one thing we noticed is as Bitcoin was going up, MSTR had a lot of puts bought on it. So there's not really good liquid option markets for Bitcoin. I mean, there's IBIT and there's the what's that other ETF? I forget it. But anyway, there's these ETFs out there, but for some reason the options aren't very liquid on those, but they're very liquid on MSTR. So it seems like a lot of I guess institutional institutions were using MSTR to hedge BTC. And when BTC started falling, the puts in MSTR were not stopping it. So the answer is not really. Like when you're looking at something like MSTR and coin, what you want to look at is just how people are positioned and what's going on with that, what's going on underneath with that particular stock. But yeah, MSTR was basically being used to hedge BTC, it seemed, because there were no calls sold. There were only puts bought. So.
Yeah, I mean, this one, 125, it's got a hold on it, right? Otherwise, it's going to get nasty again for MSTR here. And if you do hold it, your areas of interest are 130 and then 135. And then looking at just even Vanna, I mean, we look at the all expiration. I mean, look at this, 140 and.
That wouldn't surprise me if that was Michael Saylor himself, just selling coal.
Exactly.
MSTR has such high implied volatility. He's probably like, well, I'll make $1 billion here. Click.
Yeah. I mean, support wise, I mean, you get any volatility increase, Bitcoin starts to show its hand even this week, right? Like this thing can sell and it'll be a quick sell, 100%. So, yeah, I've traded MSTR before in the past. I wouldn't use it too much to correlate to the BTC, although it does help guide and influence a little bit, right? To all the things you just said there. It's just your timing. I mean, if you look at when MSTR hit its highs, I think, what was it, 400 or 500? I mean, let's go look at it here. Let's go to that. I go to a weekly chart because it's like that far.
Do you read this?
Exactly. I mean, look at this. Like, you hit its high here back in November of last year after the elections, right?
46, yeah, because they expected BTC to be,
Yeah, I mean, 543 hit, then you chopped and you sold off like 300 points from there. Then you went back up another 200 points. And again, yeah, Bitcoin has had a tremendous drop, but like this drop and how MSTR has gone, I mean, you just sat in puts and you're not scared. Maybe there's one day here in October where you got scared with your puts. But after that, like, look at it. Just every single day is a red day.
Yeah. And,
week.
Yeah. it's the anti-Walmart.
Literally.
Right. It's funny, too, because I'm looking at this chart. And Bitcoin took a hit, right? But it went down like 30%. MSTR went down, that was a gamma run of what is this, like 75%? Like that's insane.
Yeah. Let's say from the top. Let's just go to this bottom. Yeah. 80%.
80%. That's an 80% drop. And that's, to me, that's crazy. But it also is indicative of people were buying puts on MSTR to hedge their Bitcoin exposure. And now you can't really. So we're looking when we just looked at MSTR, there were some puts that were bought, but not a lot. And I think that's because they just realized they squeezed the juice out of this one.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this, let me just pop this on, just looking from a pure charting, which will align to the levels we just looked at, right? And you look at that 105, 106 area here, I mean, you're gone. And this is like going to become like a $30 stock again.
Well, the funny thing is, strategy. It's not called MicroStrategy anymore, right?
Yes.
Strategy is as a business, it's a failing business. Like now, it's just kind of its stock price is based completely on its Bitcoin holdings. So, I mean, and now its Bitcoin holdings are below. From what I read, it's below the cost they paid for them. So, at some point in time, they're going to get margin called, right? I mean, they could issue stock or something. They could do.
Well,
some other
so
thing.
here's this is the interesting. I heard this on a podcast over the weekend. I guess Saylor has said that he has about 2 years worth of dividends on all of his holdings, like his Bitcoin holdings, through strategy, basically. So there's a whole game here that they're playing, and they talked about it in their last earnings. I'll have to retrieve just what they said and I'll share it. But it's quite interesting that he has about 2 years worth of dividends that he can pay people. So that's why I'm kind of like, don't shorten the whole kind of scenario. But I'm like, this is a pretty ugly looking ticker,
I had no idea that they gave away dividends, but
I mean,
I don't trade the stock at all. And if and I only pay attention to it because people talk about it. So I only kind of tangentially pay attention. All right. Well, those are the only comments we had. I guess it's 9:15. Still kind of woozy from staying awake till 10 o'clock. I go to bed too early because I'm old. And
you like your sleep. Just you're not old. You just like your sleep. All right. Let's just put it at that.
Yeah, that same 5-year-old daughter woke me up in the middle of the night. I want to go to bed with you.
Not the real birds or the real humans.
Yeah. Fake eagles, American humans. All right. So for us, for Jay, thank you for watching, and may Volland help you in your future trading ventures.